Hi students, we are going to be designing templates today so that we can laser these out and then have some nice pieces that we can use to make our designs here. So we have a couple here, and here you can see the little truck here. So let's jump right in here. This is our level 3 project here. So you can see this truck that we're going to make. It's going to have some wheels, and we'll talk about the wheels and stuff later, but we're just trying to get the general shape, and we're going to make a little template here, and then maybe other students can use it again in the future. So you can see there's on this truck, there's 4 layers. The 2 center layers are a little thicker, and the side panels here of the truck are a little thinner to kind of make a nice truck look to this. And you're going to need this kind of area here so that we can put an axle through there so we can attach the wheels eventually. So this same idea will work for if you're doing the piggy bank project here. We can make whatever design and make a bunch of layers here like you see here. But let's jump in and get started here. So if you're on Onshape for the first time, you're going to want to go to Create Document to get started here. And I'm going to walk you through all the steps here. So pause the video as you go, listen, pause, and try it out as you go so you can kind of follow along with what I'm doing here. So before we get started here, we are going to want to find a nice image of whatever car or vehicle you want to try out. So we're going to try out doing a Mack truck like this, big truck. And you're going to want a nice side view. You don't want something like that. That's not going to be very good for what we're doing here. So I'm going to just say save image, and I'm going to just call this truck. I think I have that already saved, so I'm just going to save that again. Yeah, replace that. So that's going to have a nice saved image there, and we're going to go back to our Onshape file here. And right now we're in 3D mode. So you'll see all these buttons are looking 3-dimensional. We're going to have to go start a new sketch. So we're going to click on sketch, and now it says select a sketch plane. So that's asking where do you want to draw. For this one, I'm going to say front. We can draw on any of these flat surfaces there, but you can see that's my first sketch there. It is drawing on that surface there. And I'm spinning this around by holding the right mouse button, or if you're on a Chromebook, that's a 2-finger click and hold and drag it around. You can also change your view by playing around with this cube and rotating this and changing it around here and all that good stuff. But I clicked on the front, so I want to click on the front here so I'm looking straight at my sketch. And I like to hide all this stuff over here by clicking the little eyeball, and that kind of cleans up my workspace here. So we just saved an image. Let's import that image right now. Your tabs might be a little hidden when you first come in here if your screen is set up a little differently. But if you can't find it, you can always search for things up here. So insert image, you can type the first little part of that and it'll start popping up there. And then also you might have to zoom in or zoom out to be able to see this, but we want to find this button at the bottom there. That's going to say import. So we're going to click import, and I'm going to click on my Mack truck, and it's going to download it and then, or upload it, excuse me. And I'm going to click on the file I just uploaded, and I'm going to draw a nice box out there to put my Mack truck in there, and I'm going to get all that out of the way. So before we go too far, we want to make sure this is going to be the right size. So I'm going to push dimension here. At the top of the screen, and that's going to be able to give a nice measurement on this. So with this project, we probably want to keep it not too huge, but not too small either. If it's too small, it's going to be hard to work on. The parts are going to be so small. So let's say 8 inches maybe for the longest we can go. So once that's the right size, this sketch here, it's kind of annoying to sketch in the same one that we have our image in. So I'm just going to close that, and I'm going to start a new sketch. And notice it'll say new sketch over here. I can always go back to my original sketch by double clicking on that. And sketch plane, again, I want to select the front, so I can click that right over there. So I'm drawing on that same surface. You'll see this nice box shows up here. And now you can see I have all these drawing tools up here. I got squares and circles and curves and lines and all these different things. Right in this area is where you want to live when you're starting to do this drawing stuff. So there's a lot of detail in this, but what we're really looking for is the outline of the truck. So I'm going to start off with just some nice straight lines going all the way across. I'm using this as a guide. I do not need to copy exactly what is here on the image. I can kind of estimate some things. And, I'm putting right now I'm just doing all my straight lines on there. That looks pretty good. I got some straight lines over here. All right, and I can hide this if I ever want to see what I got there. Okay, that's looking pretty good so far. You can see I'm clicking that hide button right there. To do curves, I can come over here and click on spline, and then I can do some nice curves here, give the truck some nice curves along the top of the roof line here. And when you want to finish a spline, you can double click on their last click, or you can press the escape button on your keyboard here, over there, right top corner. That will end a spline. Sometimes students have a hard time finishing those. And there we go, another spline there. And I'll do one down here. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. I can kind of adjust things later and play around with stuff and all that good stuff, make it look good, right? All right, so I got the general shape. Notice I'm skipping over some things that I might want to add later, like the fuel tank here. I can maybe cut a separate piece of wood. This won't be like out of a dowel or another round piece. I can even make something on the lathe. If you have some other cool custom parts you want to try, we can add those later. But again, this is approximation. I'm not getting all the details and stuff. I might want to put in something that represents the window here. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? Or if you want to do something a little bit more, what you see there, you can kind of trace it out a little bit. The one thing we don't want to do is I'm going to hide that for a second. We don't want things to be too close together, too close to the edge, because things are going to break. So I clicked on dimension, and quickly here, you can click on there and see how far things are apart by clicking on those two things. And right now, that one's about 0.4 inches apart. So that's like almost half an inch, getting close to half an inch. That'll probably be fine. And you can always get rid of those by pushing backspace and deleting that. But that's a pretty good outline of the truck, right? We're not getting all the detail, getting kind of the basic stuff there. Some of this stuff you can add by hand later. Next, we're going to want to put in those little areas for the axle right here, right? So you see that little area there. We want these to be about 1 inch in diameter. So I'm going to click here, and give something like this here. Notice I want this to be lined up, and I'm putting that center point right on the line there. And then I'm forcing that radius. The radius should be 0.5. Oops. Sometimes it'll shrink your whole thing like you just saw there. That's because I have no other measurements on here, and it tries to shrink the whole thing. So sometimes you might need to do this first, actually. Put a nice measurement on there. So like 7 inches, that would be a good. I should put that first. Now it's trying to shorten that because that's still there. So I'll have to delete that. Now that I have one number, if I change this number, it's going to change everything. So I'll put in like 7.5 maybe. Now it shrunk everything just the right size. All right. And now I can put in my other wheel right here. And now I can grab that center point and put it right on the line. And let's make this one, the radius should be 0.5. Radius should be 0.5. And I'm going to do the same thing right up here in the front, my last wheel here, and right there, putting a dimension on there of radius 0.5. All right, and that looks pretty good. Now that you have that, you have pretty much made your template. If your car has or vehicle has some sort of other shape to it, like the truck had a second different shape, we can do that also. So what you'd want to do there is essentially, let's see, we're going to say extrude, and that's going to make this into a 3D part. So I'm going to click on all the pieces, and if I change my view a little bit, I can see that that is now turning into a 3D piece. So I can change the thickness here. I'm just going to say 0.75 for now. And now if you wanted the second layer, for example, to have the wheel wells or something like that, we can continue. If you have a pretty simple car, you can stop now, and this file is ready to go, and skip to the end of the video. But if you want to add some more details on the outside, follow along here for another moment. And so I'm starting a new sketch, and I just clicked on the side of the truck here, so you can see I'm drawing on the side of the truck. Now I'm changing my view, so I got a nice flat view of it again. Now I'm going to draw whatever I want. Actually, no, first I want to maybe trace something. So instead of going and trying to retrace everything, I can click this button that says Use, and if I hover over it, you can see it says Use there. And now I can just click on that, and that's tracing everything. Ooh, missed the window for some reason, but let's see if I can get that. There we go, we got the window now. All right. So now that's traced everything. If I was to hide that, you can see it's now traced it into this sketch. And now I can go alter some things if I want. I can say, oh yeah, I want this thing to have like a big side panel thing or something like this around the front wheel. Maybe I want something, maybe I want it to go like this a little bit. I don't know, it's really up to you. Maybe I want to get rid of that line actually. And I'll just trim back some lines. Essentially play around with this, make it look like whatever you want. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do here. We're going to extrude this one again, and this time we can extrude just this piece and making it a new piece. You can see now I've created another layer. That one's probably a little too thick. I can come back to it. And I know I'm talking a lot right now, and I'm going very fast, but hopefully that's starting to make a little sense there. And obviously I will be here in class to help you out if you have any questions. This should be a good start for you guys. So the final thing you want to do is export these files as a DXF file. So what you can do is just hover over the surface that you want. So we want that whole blue piece here, right? That whole thing, we want that shape to. So we're just going to click on that. We're going to say export as DXF. And it's going to pop up. We're going to make sure it says DXF, not DWG. That's not what we want. Format needs to be DXF here. And give it a good name like Mack Truck Side or whatever you want right there, right? Truck 1. And we'll say export, leave everything else alone, and that's going to download the file for you. And if you have more than one piece, we're going to have to repeat that for this other piece here. Notice I can hide the pieces here, and I'm just going to repeat and do the same thing. So I know I have shown you a lot just now. Please, please, please pause this video as you go. You can rewatch it, all that good stuff. Slow it down, whatever you got to do. And obviously, please talk to me during class, and we'll get some extra help. All right? See you in class. Bye. Keep on trucking.